Hello and welcome to the D3 Energy live stream. I'm Greg Davis, founder of D3 Energy, and welcome back to the place where I share about the oil and gas industry and this resurgence in conventional oil and gas in the United States. Thanks for spending some time with me again today. First of all, I want to start with congratulations to the Houston Astros. And congratulations to the city of Houston. It's been 8 weeks since we had Hurricane Harvey, a little over 8 weeks, and nothing could be better than us getting to go to the World Series. For Houston, for our energy industry, for all the people who have lost everything and maybe had lost hope, we have our Houston Astros to root for, and it's going to be so good for our city. Congratulations to the owners, congratulations to the fans, congratulations to the city of Houston and everybody who has been supporting the team and supporting the hurricane effort. And it's an exciting time to be here. So in continuing in my discussions about the great pioneers in our oil and gas industry, the pioneers who paved the way for the incredible hydrocarbon dominance that the United States has today. The visionaries who believed in themselves, who followed their instincts and their passion to unlock vast resources in the United States, and in many cases from their original work, we are going back into these areas with new technology and unlocking more and more resources. Amazing times for us. And so in continuing my discussion about these great pioneers, let me talk to you about Harrold Hamm. Harrold Hamm, essentially, he did unlock one of the largest, biggest, giant oil fields in the United States. And it was purely because of his passion and his perseverance and his hard work that he discovered this field, and now is discovering more fields. Harrold Hamm was born in Enid, Oklahoma, which Enid, for those of you who don't know, is one of the boom and bust oil towns in Oklahoma. And there he got a flavor of oil and gas, and it got into his blood. And he started out at a young age working, age 16, at a gas station. And then he went on to work in a refinery, hauling water from the oil fields. And he was mucking the oil and the water and the dirt and the grime out of those trucks, those tanks. And that continued to fuel his passion for oil. And then he wanted to get into the actual owning, developing of oil and gas resources. And so he cobbled together some money, borrowed a lot of money, and as the story goes, he started drilling in Oklahoma, drilled 17 dry holes. Very similar to my father, who went on a streak of drilling about 70 or 80 in his early days, but persevered. No matter what, he was going to find oil and gas. And then he came across an area in Oklahoma, a geologic area where a crater had been created by a massive meteor that hit. And he found this area with the idea that I want to go back to areas where oil and gas had been found, had been overlooked, oil had been left behind, and that he could go in and buy up acreage and leases cheaply and then drill more. Apply the new technology that was there then at the time, the new technology. So he found this area where this crater was created by this giant meteor, and lo and behold, with some geologists and engineers, they figured out that there was probably oil and gas trapped in that crater. And Eureka, they were right, discovering 17 million barrels of oil. And that gave him his big start. And as he says, it gave him the stability to keep growing. Now, the other philosophy that Harrold had was that he didn't want to take shareholders into his company, so he'd rather borrow money. So go to banks and borrow money and maintain 100% of the equity in his company. And that's what he did. He went and borrowed money. And he borrowed enough to get by, and then he went and bought up leases in an area in North Dakota that he had heard about and he knew about. It was an area in North Dakota that was characterized by these thin shale reservoirs that were sort of stacked up at each thin little zone. You could drill into it and even try a horizontal well, and it would flow oil, but not enough. But he went and he bought up a bunch of land in North Dakota when nobody else thought there was anything there. There was drilling going on, there were wells being made, but nothing to really write home about. Maybe they would make 150 barrels a day drilling a horizontal well, and it wasn't enough to really build a company. But he drew on a life lesson that he had followed throughout his life. A lesson about passion. And he recalled growing up in Enid, Oklahoma as a young boy, meeting a potter and going to that potter's business. And there he watched the potter make pots. But he would grab a lump of clay out of a barrel, and he would start patting it and forming it and caressing it and holding it with a lot of care, a lot of love, as he compared it to the love of a mother cuddling her child and patting the child with love and passion. And from that potter would make his pots, and he built a business. And that was the passion that he grew up with. That's what modeled it. And he believed there was huge amounts of oil to pull out of these thin shale formations in North Dakota. And he bought up all this land. And he started drilling and testing and drilling horizontals and buying more land and going into more debt. But remember, he did not want to give up his company to anybody. He wanted to hang on to it and build a legacy. And then, as many of us do in the industry, you know, this whole industry really is teamwork. It's teamwork, and it's drawing on, you know, breakthroughs and innovations that, you know, other companies, other people, other pioneers come up with. And, you know, he didn't have to be the one to figure everything out. You know, being part of the team, the oil and gas industry team that would help each other and do things in one area and then look out to see if that practice or that technology, that technique might work in another area. He saw what George Mitchell had done in the Barnett Shale Formation in Fort Worth. And if you remember from my last video, George Mitchell figured out how to get gas out of the Barnett Shale. And so he saw that. And he basically took that technique of drilling horizontally and pressure pumping, hydraulic fracturing the formations, and eureka. He hit the gusher. His wells then went from 150 barrels per day to 1,500 barrels a day, 10 times as much oil and gas. And having more oil and gas come out of a single well means you make more money. It becomes more profitable. And from that, he built his Continental Resources company into one of the largest oil and gas producers in the United States today. He is crediting with truly discovering the profitable Bakken formation. His company today is worth about $14 billion and makes about $1.7 billion. He flows about 200,000 barrels a day and produces about 75 million barrels of oil per year. But most important is the Bakken and what he discovered. The Bakken is estimated in North Dakota and parts of Montana, because it's grown, to contain over 18 billion barrels of oil. That's 18 billion barrels of oil right here in the United States that is adding to America's hydrocarbon production, our hydrocarbon independence, our hydrocarbon dominance. And he's continuing. He's down in an area in Oklahoma now called the Scoop Stack, which other companies are in, and they're starting to develop that. And he's finding more oil and gas. All because of his passion, his teamwork, his belief in himself, and his philosophy of never quitting. That's Harrold Hamm, an amazing pioneer in our industry, a living legend, credited with being such an important part of America's hydrocarbon dominance. And it's continuing. What's great about this story is here was a visionary who had seen glimpses, sniffs of oil, if you will, in an area, or saw a legacy region that had produced but then stopped producing because at the time the drillers then, the oil companies then, thought there was no more economic quantities of oil to get out. But he went back and he applied a new technology, a new technique, passion, hard work, and unlocked billions and billions of barrels of oil. And that is what's happening today, right now, in our oil and gas industry, with all these great technologies and techniques and practices and new drilling, data processing, artificial intelligence, the opportunities to go back into conventional reservoirs with this great innovation and unlock billions of barrels more oil for the United States right here is unprecedented. And that is what's happening today. That is why people like Harrold Hamm and others who have paved the way have created this opportunity. And our industry today is going back. And we owe a debt of gratitude to them. So that's Harrold Hamm. Hope you enjoyed his story. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. Please like and share if you haven't. Share with your friends. And let's keep building this conventional revolution. I'm Greg Davis. I appreciate you spending time with me today. Have a great day. And go Astros. Go Houston. Take care.